You know what's there? Waiting. Beyond that beach. Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
Let's do it.
Woo! Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Here we are, Immortality Lab. I am Christian Martirana with my good buddy, Brian Devonshire. We are talking about water today, why it's important, and why it's very, very necessary. Brian's going to be the main host today.
Taking the lead.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the lead. And I'm going to basically be going into this blind. I did a very minimal research. I do have some like myths and we can be myth busters today.
Okay.
I found a list of some myths that I think might be interesting to touch on. They're like, I saw you usually go, I have a good feeling that you're going to go into a lot more of the science about it. And the myths are
I love
kind
science,
of like
man.
a fun type of bullshit thing.
Should be fun. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about one of the myths is the alkaline water at the end. So then I guess we can talk about the myths at the end.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Go into it.
Perfect.
I thought this was going to be pretty boring and I wouldn't be able to find anything. But doing the research on this, like I found a lot of interesting things and it affects a lot of your organ systems. I mean, obviously, because we're 70% water, you can imagine that it's going to affect most of your body if you're dehydrated.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Did you find like one source that seemed to be better than others or something?
Oh,
I was having a little bit of tough time finding some researches and stuff, but I did.
Yeah, I only pretty much look at PubMed when I'm doing research.
Okay.
So if you're just going to Google search something, type in the letters NCBI before the search and you'll get.
Yep.
So
Cool.
That's where I find a lot of the stuff.
All right, right on. Oftentimes I'll use Google Scholar and it shows.
I think that's pretty much the same, but I don't know.
I think it is when you said that NCBI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just brings up PubMed stuff. And Google has a better search engine than the PubMed search engine. So,
Sure.
Okay, so water intake. So basically, it increases morbidity. So that's like risk of getting certain diseases, and it increases your risk of death. So it does affect a lot of organ systems. So it's gonna increase your risk of getting other diseases that you don't want, and it's just gonna increase your overall death rate.
Dehydration, you're saying?
Dehydration. And we'll get into the definition of that in a second. But so here are the things. I have like a little graph here that I found that shows you what effects mild hypohydration has on the body. So you have decreased exercise performance, decreased cognitive function, decreased mood, increased fatigue. This one was interesting. I didn't realize, but it affects your glucose regulation too. So you'll have higher blood sugars. So it decreases your blood vessel function, decreases thermal regulation, brain blood flow, and orthostatic tolerance. So if you get up and you get dizzy, so that's like blood pressure regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things, and a lot of them revolve around being athletic too. So if you're dehydrated, you can't be a good athlete.
Right. Yeah. And balance and the coordination, the focus, so many.
Yeah.
Increased
and
fatigue, you said,
actual muscle performance too.
Right.
So if you want to live to 100, you need to be an athlete younger so that you can carry that to 80, 90, 100 years old. And if you're just dehydrated all the time, you just can't build up that athletic performance.
Right. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Here we go. We'll get into the definition of dehydration. So most of the studies I was looking at, their definition is anything above 2% reduction in body mass. So if you lose 2% of your weight, like during an exercise, most of that's going to be through sweat and, breathing out water through your breath.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? Like what do you weigh? Christian?
Right now I'm about, I want to say around 150. So
So
that would be, so
it
let's
was
see,
like 3 pounds, I think.
15, so 3 pounds.
Yeah. So if you lose 3 pounds, I mean, that's, you see that often. People who weigh themselves every day, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
They'll
yep.
fluctuate a couple of pounds and they think their diet worked, but no, they're probably just dehydrated.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a lot of people think it's like a good idea to wear those sauna suits in the
Yes.
stuff.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Like if you're training for, not training, if you are cutting weight for an event, say you're a professional athlete and you need to lose 5 pounds for tomorrow's boxing match, otherwise you're not allowed to box.
right,
Yeah, go
do that.
fucking cut that water weight.
But if you're just gonna
Otherwise,
go back to your cubicle and do some math,
yeah, then you're gonna have to re-drink the water anyway. It's so stupid. And yeah, going back to what you were saying about people stepping on the scale daily, my gosh, what a horrible habit. But then you see a number and you react to it as well. So just say you were not dehydrated, but just say you had more to drink than usual and you saw like 1.5 pounds more than yesterday and you're like, ah,
yep.
what do I have to do? I'm not gonna eat dinner now.
Or
You know?
like this diet's not gonna work, and then you give up.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing, man? Just trust the process. Get on that scale maybe once every 2 weeks, once a week at the most.
Once a week, yeah.
At the most.
And the worst probably is like if they cheat on their diet and they lose water weight, so they lose a couple of pounds, and they're like, wow, okay, I can have more Oreos, I guess.
Yeah, wow, we really are the same people.
Okay, so there's the definition of dehydration. So anything greater than 2% body mass reduction. And so athletes, hold on, I think your mic is
Can you hear me?
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so another interesting thing I saw was athletes can lose up to 10% of their body weight from sweat losses. So it is really easy to do 2% reduction in body mass. And that's technically dehydration. And this is where even at 2%, you'll see all of these effects happen. So it's not all of these things that make your body work, or it's not all of these things that happen at 10% body mass reduction. It's like 2%, which is super easy to do.
Right.
So be vigilant, stay hydrated all the time, you know?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, when you're saying 10% loss on athletes, it makes me think about when I used to go play basketball like 3-4 hours a day. And I remember like walking into the basketball court, my tank top was all like, you know, like I was like fit, you know? And then by the end of that whole thing, well, of course the sweat and gravity is going to bring it down, but like I could physically see my body like being thinner, you know? And obviously a lot of it was dehydration from lack of water. And then I would step on the scale afterward and I would sometimes be like 5, 6, 7 pounds lighter than when I came in.
Yeah.
So at what point is that unhealthy? Like how quickly do you need to rehydrate before that becomes a problem? Do you know?
Yeah. So here is I guess we can get into the water intoxication part right here. So so you lost a bunch of water doing your exercise, playing basketball and stuff. So you could have just rehydrated during the whole thing, but then you're also exercising. You're using all of the electrolytes for your muscle function to work. So you're rehydrating and you're losing the electrolytes. So you need to also replenish the electrolytes. So that's like the main thing about Gatorade. You know, they put sodium in there, and
Water sucks. Gatorade is better. What?
I'm pretty sure the recommended is if you are working out for 60 minutes or less, drink water. And if you're working out for 60 minutes or more, drink Gatorade.
You mean like how many calories? I mean, how much water should you drink in terms of exercise? So here is the water requirement thing I found. If you scroll down here, it's about 1 to 1.5 milliliters of water per day per calorie expended. So I guess if you can guess how many calories you're burning playing basketball, then that's how much
1.5 milliliters, and then
that's how much you would drink. Yeah. So for our age group, so 19 to 30, for males, it would be 1.32 milliliters per calorie expended. That's how much you would drink. So that would be probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, that's cool. And then I could estimate the calories lost using METs and like estimated METs during a basketball game. I know there's a lot of charts where it shows estimated METs during a certain exercise. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a pretty easy way to estimate how many calories you might lose during cycling or basketball or painting a wall or whatever. And then you can use what you just said, and then that's cool.
Yeah. So for most people,
do that later.
Sweet. Yeah. So most people listening to this are in that age range, 19 or 30. So you want to, if you're male, 1.32. If you're a female, 1.23 milliliters per calorie expended. And of course, that's going to change if it's hot out, if you're on like medications and stuff.
Do you think it would be fair to say just round up to 1.5 because most people are getting less water than they should? Or do you think you should?
Yeah, just to make it easy. Sure, you can do that. But then, so we're going back to the problems of too much water. If you're playing basketball or you're a runner and you're just drinking a bunch of water to replenish all the sweat losses, you're losing all of the electrolytes through sweat, and so you'll end up with hyponatremia, so low sodium. And so your body just your muscles can't work, other organ functions can't work if it cannot access the sodium, which will happen if it's diluted. So if you're doing those things, you drink the amount of water you need per the amount of calories you're burning, and according to how hot it is, also like more if it's hotter. And you also need to make sure you drink electrolytes in the water too, because it's really hard to actually die from too much water. It's not that it's killing you, it's the low electrolytes that are killing you.
So if you drink tap water, chances are you're good.
Do they put sodium in tap water?
I don't know if it's sodium.
They put like chlorine in it to sanitize it. I know that.
I'm pretty sure there's other electrolytes in there as well. Are you referring to just sodium then?
I think yes, sodium. Yeah, I know there's probably calcium because of hard water
exactly.
So that is an electrolyte. So
right.
So yeah,
an electrolyte is just a free ion basically.
Yeah, so sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium.
Right.
I don't know if tap water has all of those though.
I'm gonna do a quick search.
Okay. And here is
I quickly wrote is sodium in tap water, and it shows 9 milligrams of sodium in tap water per cup. But it's like which tap water? Flint, Michigan.
Oh yeah. So here's another thing. If you're just pounding water, one thing to keep in mind is your kidneys can excrete up to 1 liter per hour. So if you're drinking more than that every hour, you're probably going to end up with hyponatremia just because of how fast your kidneys can piss out the water,
Yeah, wow.
So probably don't do more than 1 liter an hour.
1 liter is what, 33 ounces? What is it, 30 ounces or 33 ounces? Quart's 32.
Yeah, I think it's around there.
Yeah, it's around a quart. I know that. Oh man, now I gotta know.
So here's this interesting thing though. Have you ever heard of the person dying from too much water? Like
33.8. 33.8. Yes. Wait. You said, have I heard of someone dying from too much water?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that competitions and shit.
Yeah, so this is one of them. It was hold your wee for a wee. Hold your wee for a wee.
I remember that.
Dude, it's horrible. So this lady, she drank 15 liters in a short period of time, and then she went into a coma and died.
Jeez. Dude,
so
15 liters.
Yeah, so I imagine if she had done that over 15 hours, she would have been fine. But it was for a radio contest, so probably she did it within an hour. I don't know.
Dude, that's 507 ounces of water. Dude, she had 3.96 gallons of water in 1 hour.
or yeah, some short amount of time. But
Dude, it would be hard to like grab a gallon and be like, all right, blah, 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 blah. Dude, 4 of them?
it would just be gushing out of your mouth as you try to drink it.
Yeah, dude. My gosh.
Yeah,
Horrible.
so that's a good
Horrible.
example. Don't follow her example, people.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right, so water intoxication can kill you.
Hold on a sec. Dude, if you're willing to work that hard, you're willing to drink 4 gallons of water like that for a fucking Nintendo Wii, like go work something else and make the money to go buy a Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, you got other
Holy
priorities
shit,
you need to work on.
that's crazy. Oh my gosh. It's like people standing outside for 14 hours for a Black Friday. So I'm like,
or like a video game.
what do you just get it tomorrow?
I know. It's like it doesn't really matter, man.
Walmart's having like 3 Black Fridays, dude. I don't know what's going on this year.
Wow. They got to make up for the loss of all the COVID sales and whatever.
Exactly.
Anyway, so here's some things that could help with dehydration or cause dehydration. So of course, not drinking water, obviously. Exercise, excess mouth breathing. So we're back to the nose breathing thing. Hey, people with COPD and sleep apnea, they're going to be breathing through their mouth more. So heat, having a fever, having diuretics like coffee, or if you're actually on a diuretic.
Oh, do you want to wait till later to talk about that, or should I chime in about the caffeine and coffee thing? That's something I did find mixed information on.
Yeah, sure. Go into it. What is it?
So, I've always heard you have to drink twice as much water as the amount of coffee you have to make up for it. And I found like several researches, one of them being from the University of Alabama. This is in 2014. And what it's saying is that actually, well, one part of what it's saying is that fluid is fluid. So whether you're getting like a diet soda or mineral water or whatever, fluid's fluid. And it's referring that to coffee as well. And it's saying that at first it acts as a strong diuretic. So all you have to do is replace that water. But then after you drink coffee a lot, you build a tolerance to it, and you no longer, caffeine's no longer really a diuretic for you. And so if it's not a diuretic for you, then you do not need to worry about the liquid loss, the water loss from caffeine.
Yeah, I think that's right. What I learned in nutrition is that it's basically a net zero. Like it makes you pee, but then the 8 ounces of water that you drank with the coffee it kind of replaces that. But yeah, that does make sense. If you build a tolerance to caffeine, you're not going to pee more,
Right.
Then you're going to drink more coffee
in that
too.
case, then it actually hydrates you.
Well, those people who drink are tolerant to caffeine, they're going to drink 3 pots.
Right.
Just to get the same amount of caffeine, which is making you pee more. But then, it's in the end, it probably is just a net zero.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I wouldn't worry about it.
So if you are one of those people who are very tolerant to it, and you're not having 3 pots and you still only have 1 cup and it's not making you pee, then it's hydrating you.
If you're not tolerant to it.
If you are tolerant to it.
Yes.
And you're not peeing. You're not.
Yes.
It would be hydrating you.
Yes. But then you would be cranky because you didn't get enough caffeine. And so for the people who, drink coffee for the first time, it's going to make them piss a lot. And it's going to be a net zero probably for them. I mean, a net negative, I mean.
Sure. Yeah. I hear
okay.
Okay,
cool. Yeah, so continuing the causes of dehydration, so diuretics, so probably not caffeine, depending on the situation. Hyperglycemia, so high blood sugar. One of the ways that your body will get rid of the high sugar is to pee out the sugar, so you lose water in that process. And of course, vomiting and diarrhea. So in those situations, you need to drink more water and also electrolytes, so you don't die of hyponatremia. So here we go. We're going to get into how it affects exercise and muscle, because like I said earlier, in order to live for a long time and be healthy, you need to be a good athlete.
Can I just nerd for 1 second and just say how much I love the Latin language and the the table of elements? Like sodium is Na on that periodic table, and it's neutrinium. What's that word?
Hyponatremia, yeah.
Exactly.
Natremia.
I love it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Latin,
Right.
yeah, Latin. We get a lot of scientific words from Latin,
Yeah.
and
I wish
it's pretty cool.
I wish it was taught, man.
I know. Yeah.
Why is it a lost language? It's like the most important one. Like, what
I don't know,
guys.
Yeah, if you learn a little bit of Latin, you can pretty much know what all of these scientific words mean without like
animals, health terms,
everything.
Physiology. Yeah, exactly. So many scientific things.
Okay, so exercise and muscle. So for some background, we're going to talk about the redox balance. So that's the oxidative stress and antioxidants. So this picture here is just those two things on a little seesaw, little teeter thing. So when you exercise, that's going to create more oxidative stress. So your body is going to lift the teeter, the seesaw, and create more antioxidants to kind of balance it out. So your body's really good at doing this. Otherwise, it would be dead. So let's see. So oxidative stress, that is basically just from free radicals. So oxygen, like a negative ion, O2. Nitric oxide is a free radical. And then just reactive oxygen species. So there's many types of those things. So those are all...
Our body's just forming these as we're exercising.
Yeah, I couldn't really understand how, but...
I would imagine there's some kind of chemical process where there was a molecule and then something breaks off.
Yeah, I think it's just like a byproduct of like metabolism, and like if you're exercising, you're using a lot of metabolites and it's creating these, waste products, I guess. But I don't know.
I hear what you're saying.
And one of them is nitric oxide. So that does a lot of good things for vasodilation and stuff.
Yep.
So you, as a response of exercising, you'll actually make that like intentionally. So I know that one is like intentional, but the other one's probably not so much.
For sure.
So of course, the oxidative stress is a good thing. Just we were talking about like eustress and distress. Like you need some distress to have it's beneficial, right? So same thing with oxidative stress. It's beneficial when it's in low to moderate amounts. And so one of the uses of oxidative stress are in phagocytes. So those are the things that go around and eat little microbes that get in your body and stuff. So they store the free radicals that'll just fuck up stuff. And when they get up next to a microbe, they'll just use those to destroy the microbe. So it's pretty cool. And they're also used to modulate the immune system. The phagocytes are part of that. Cell signaling. So yeah, phagocytes. But so cell signaling is an important part. So you need the oxidative stress to have proper cell signaling, at least a little bit of it. So one of those is fibroblasts. So that is involved in scar tissue, cardiac cells signaling, thyroid cell signaling, vascular and smooth muscle cell signaling. So they're not the enemy, oxidative stress. You need a little bit of it.
Sure.
Okay, so
anyways. Yeah,
dehydration leads to more reactive oxygen species, more oxidative stress, which leads to more inflammation, which leads to decreased endothelial function and arterial stiffness.
Pause for a second. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
So what exactly is reactive oxygen species?
That's just part of the O2 negative ion. They just have like a negative charge to whatever they are. Like they have a negative charge, so they're just going to float around, and whenever they come in contact with your cells, they're going to like steal a hydrogen to balance out the negative charge. And
which is where the inflammation comes. into play, or what?
That leads to inflammation
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
because it's
And
like
then-
this.
and
I'm
then-
getting fucked up here. I need to inflame.
Then you said decreased endothelial function.
Yeah,
Um,
that's like your blood vessels.
okay.
Yeah, so if you have decreased endothelial function, it's basically the same thing as arterial stiffness. So nitric oxide will float around, and it's normally supposed to vasodilate, but it won't respond as well, you know?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So if you're trying to get a pump and you have decreased endothelial function, it's not going to work. You're not going to
Right.
get a pump.
Right.
Okay, so when you exercise, all that shit happens, but then your body has different mechanisms to fight it. I mean, I wrote down some stuff here, but you can just understand that we have a lot of mechanisms to help fight too much oxidative stress.
Without going into, well, I mean, you can go into detail if you want to, but what are some examples of those things?
So one of them I found was your muscles will release glutathione, and that's just a counter to one of the antioxidants in your body called superoxide having decreased function. I can't pretend to understand why these things happen, but this is what the scientists are talking about. So
For sure.
so it's a counter to, it's just to help balance the stuff. And
Baby.
and one of the things they measure is like the isoprostanes. So you can look this up. If isoprostanes are higher, that means more oxidative stress is happening. So what they found is these were actually decreased during dehydration. So you would think during exercise, a lot of oxidative stress is happening, but they found the opposite. So your body has mechanisms to fight it, basically. Gotcha. So dehydration is going to impair your muscle performance and endurance. And so here, I just put in a little note about creatine. So this basically just, besides the ATP part, it increases your the hydration, right? And so your muscles are just going to work better because of the more water that's around them. They can. They didn't really go into why, but it does improve the neuromuscular function of muscles.
It definitely does. Just I would say if you're listening in, just be aware whether you're taking creatine monohydrate versus creatine HCl. If you're drinking monohydrate, I think it's just a worse idea to take monohydrate. You have to drink so much more water. There's a loading phase. It's just worse for your body. It's harder for your body to process and to take care of yourself. Like one serving is like 5 grams, like a lot of powder, right? Where creatine HCl, I could go grab it right now. One scoop is 0.5 gram, and it's like the teeniest little thing. And there's no need to drink extra water in order for it to work, or in order for the water to protect my kidneys too. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to go with creatine, take the HCl.
Yeah, that sounds better because, I mean, you just want the creatine to get into the muscles so that it can do its job. And one of the jobs is to increase the hydration around the tissues. Also, that's going to decrease your risk of dehydration, obviously, if you have more water in your body.
Right.
So one of the things they found was rehydrating after exercise will decrease the oxidative stress. So being dehydrated when you're exercising, you're going to have more oxidative stress. And so, I mean, your body only has so much ability to fight the oxidative stress. So at some point it's going to be damaging, right?
Right.
So,
it'll transfer over from eustress to
distress.
It'll tip over. So you have to hydrate before it tips over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sense.
So that's hydrating during exercise if it's a long exercise. And so you'll have less oxidative stress, which is good. Also because it leads to DNA damage. So that's like the hallmark of cancer, and you know what I mean? Like you don't want that.
Right. I mean, dude, to be honest, to be 100% honest, without going into any fucking detail, if you could ask any human being, do you want your DNA to be damaged? I guarantee you 100% of human beings would be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like
so,
without even knowing what the fuck.
Uh-huh.
Nobody would want their DNA to be damaged.
even if they don't even know
Like,
what
am I
DNA
gonna
is.
grow a fourth fucking finger?
Yeah, they think
I said a
mutation.
fourth finger. I said, what am I gonna grow a fourth finger as if I only have 3? Like
Fourth finger.
what's going on, dude? Oh my god.
Yeah, so you instantly think mutation, like the hills have eyes type thing.
Right.
So stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did find some evidence to support supplementing with antioxidants. So that will decrease exercise-induced oxidative stress. So they just studied vitamin C and E. So you can take those before. If you do like high intensity interval training all the time, you probably want to add more of those,
Sure. Yeah.
But if you're just like a regular exercise person, adding more antioxidants is going to, tip the scales. It's going to get rid of the oxidative stress, which is helpful in some amount.
You know what's cool? I mean, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but what I found out about my own body anyways, you're saying like what you were just saying, if you exercise a lot, then vitamin C and E does seem to decrease the exercise-induced stress there.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, the stress is good. At a certain point, that stress is not so good. And, okay, what I'm getting at is when I've been in that part of my life where I'm like doing that intense, consistent exercise, my body tells me to eat vitamin C anyways. It's just like, you better go get some fruit, and I bet you it's directing me towards vitamin E as well without me even knowing it, because my body's like, dude, I need this right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like crazy story. It's going on a tangent a little bit. So like last August, not 2 months ago, but 14 months ago, I got ankle fusion, and like my ankle was all jacked up. Anyways, so I started getting this crazy craving for tamarins. Do you know what tamarins are? Those little bean pod things. A lot of Mexican candy, like tamarind. It's made from them. Tamarins, little brown bean pods. Anyways, so right, dude, you don't even know what the fuck they are exactly. And my body, dude, out of nowhere, I was like, dude, I am craving tamarins. And so I found some at Sprouts, and they came in these boxes, and I would buy like 3 boxes at a time, and I would eat them, and they're super sour at a certain point. It's weird. They're sweet, but then they're sour. And I would eat them till my tongue bled.
Oh.
And I was craving them so much, I kept eating them. And I was like, okay, why the fuck is my body doing this, right? So then I started doing some research on tamarins, and they have a strong anti-inflammatory property to them, specific to the fucking ankle.
Oh.
Dude. And I was like, what? The fact that my body was like, yeah, dude, you should probably eat some tamarins, this food that you've never eaten before in your life. You should probably go search that. And I found it. Like, that's crazy, right, man?
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, I have, some examples like that too. People just have these random cravings, and you just got to listen to your body sometimes.
If you have a good relationship with your
body. That's probably the more important part.
Because otherwise you'll be like, oh, it's telling me to eat a fucking chocolate cake. Let's do it.
Yeah. Did you eat tamarins when you were a kid, or?
No. I guess I've eaten a lot of Mexican candy in my life, which a lot of them are made with tamarindo, but I've never eaten the actual fruit itself.
Huh. Yeah, I feel like, if you're growing up eating tamarins, your body learns what's in it. So when you have the ankle fusion and inflammation, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that from childhood. Maybe something like that.
All the Mexican candy I ate, dude, it probably did. It probably did, man.
I would imagine.
Because I've eaten a lot of Mexican candy, dude. Like a lot of it.
Your body probably recognizes it. It's like, dang, I need some more of that shit.
For sure, dude.
Cool. Yeah. So antioxidant supplementation. It's cool. Cool when you need it. It's cool when you need it.
Exactly. It's cool when you need it.
Yeah. So dehydration, to continue the exercise bit. So it decreases your aerobic performance. And this was a crazy, so it's 17%, it decreased it by at sea level, and it's even worse at high altitude. So it goes to almost double, like 34%.
It literally
Oh,
doubled.
that is double actually. Yeah. So again, if you want to be an athlete, you want to be healthy, you need to have aerobic performance. And even just having a 2%, dehydration, you're going to be shot down 17%. That will lose Olympic medals so fast. You know what I mean?
Totally. You won't even be in the Olympics. You won't
Yeah, with 17%, like losing an Olympic gold medal would be 0.5%, not even.
Yeah, man, oh man. If that, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And that speaks even more. I have to touch on it, like the importance of breathing, which I know we went over. Go listen to that podcast if you haven't, motherfuckers. It's a good one. We need to breathe. All right, go ahead.
This next part, we're going to talk about some breathing some more, actually. So,
oh, cool.
So all of these issues about decreasing muscle function and aerobic performance, it all kind of revolves around inability to regulate blood pressure as a result of the dehydration. So that that leads to screwy or wonky oxygen delivery and hyperventilation. So you get hypocapnia, you get low CO2 in your blood. So we can go back to the Bohr effect, you know what I mean? And that's probably affects your oxygen delivery because of that, but who knows? It's super complicated. So the blood pressure regulation and heat stress during aerobic performance and if you're dehydrated. So that's just temperature regulation. You can't regulate temperature if there's less water.
Have you ever had a heat stroke, or maybe not a heat stroke, but like almost fainted? I don't know if heat stroke is the right word. That's the one that comes to mind.
I mean, I have a fever before, so.
Like while you're in the sun, while you're playing a sport or something?
Oh, no.
It's okay. What happened to you? What are you talking about exactly?
I was just like, I had a virus and I had a fever, you know.
Okay.
Like the flu or something.
Like I remember specifically one time I was playing baseball, dude. It was a Saturday morning. Saturday morning games were at 10 in the morning, and I used to play baseball. And I think at some point we were going year round. Like we would do fall ball as well as summer ball, right? And so fucking 10 in the morning in the summer in Tucson is 100 degrees. Like, whoa, cool. And so then you have all this baseball equipment, right? You have socks, you have the shirt, you have the pants, the cup on, the whole nine, right? You're hot as shit. And you're just sitting there in the outfield waiting for the ball to come to you. And so I'm just chilling there, and out of nowhere, my vision, everything becomes like this bluish, like pixelated squares. You know, I don't know how to explain it. And I just I was like, yo, dude, like wake up. I started hitting myself. And like it got worse and worse. And then I was just like, yo, I need to go. And then I like walked off the field without even like telling anyone. I was like, I'm gonna die right now.
Yeah, I'm done.
I went and got some Gatorade. Boom, way better instantly. So it probably was, not only was I dehydrated, but I probably did not have that sodium or the electrolytes I needed in order to hold on to the water. But
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so
what I was ultimately getting at is because I didn't have that water, or rather the hydration or the sodium, my heat stress went way up. There was no way that my body could regulate my temperature.
Your organs were like hot.
And I almost fainted because of it. That's crazy. That's
your brain was hot. Your organs were hot. You need water to, you know.
Yeah. Has your car ever overheated?
Exactly. Yeah. You dump water in to fix the overheated car.
Yeah.
So yeah, the temperature regulation, so that affects different parts of your body. So central nervous system and your muscles are the main ones. And it also affects how you perceive exertion. So how hard are you working, and pain. So you're dehydrated, you're going to feel more pain, and you're going to be like, ugh, I don't want to do this exercise anymore.
Makes sense.
It's crazy how much it affects.
You know, it's interesting how much it affects, but it's not crazy to me because like
I just never thought about it, I guess.
the earth is water, right? It's like
Yeah.
what, 70% water?
Yeah, and we are too. Yeah.
Exactly. We are too. It's like, okay, I don't, it doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Right. But yeah, I had no idea it affected these things in this way until I looked into it, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like, obviously you need it, but who knew like
How
what it
important.
did? Yeah.
I
Or
guess,
why it was so important.
I'm sure you've heard like, oh, you don't know how good it is until you see the bad, right? I guess for me almost fainting on the baseball
Uh-huh.
field was a pretty damn good sign to me. Like, holy shit, dude. And
Mhm.
like within 3 seconds of hydrating, I felt better, So it was like a really strong sign to me without even thinking about it. It's like, okay, stay hydrated. And then honestly too, you were there, dude. Remember when we used to swim over at Jesse's all the time for hours and hours and hours, right?
Yeah.
And I remember
Lifeguard.
one time, exactly,
Lifeguard.
exactly, drown each other, mud wrestling. And so I remember getting out of that pool one time and I was just so parched, so parched. I think we had pizza just get there. And I was like, fuck yeah, soda sounds good. And I grabbed a soda. I haven't had a soda in a long time. Cracked it open, started chugging it. And all I could feel was the sugar, like there was, I couldn't get it down. I was like, fuck this, dude. And ever since that day, I have never wanted soda ever.
Dude, that's a good point. You reminded me, like, water is going to lubricate your intestines. So that's probably why it felt like super clammy.
Because there's sugar. Sugar's sticky, right? You're drinking
and
sugar.
your mouth is dry because there's no water.
Exactly. There's no lubrication and for any enzymes to start breaking down.
And the cinnamon challenge, people can't do that because it absorbs all the water and you can't swallow anything.
Correct.
And another thing, again, back to the breathing podcast, nose breathing, you need water in your nose to condition the air that goes through it properly. So that's one of the huge benefits of nose breathing. It doesn't work if you're dehydrated.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, right. Shit. Like fucking water, dude.
Okay, so we'll get into the how it affects the brain and the mental status right now. So you'll have,
for anyone that doesn't know what just happened there, both Brian and I realized at the same time, like, holy fucking shit, this water thing, that's what happened right there. That was great.
It's good stuff. So, okay, so the mental status. So it affects you'll have a worse mood, you'll have worse cognitive function, decreased alertness. It affects how calm you are, and it affects your positive emotions. I know you like that a lot. I mean, everybody should like having more positive emotions, but like an optimist, if they hear that it's going to affect positive emotions,
well, what? I'm gonna drink 4 gallons now, dude.
Yeah, and you're gonna die. Like, no, drink it slowly.
Exactly.
So those things basically all happen from decreased blood flow to the brain, which, dude, again, back to the Bohr effect and the CO2. So this is a quote from the study. So it's let's see. Dehydration accelerated the decline in cerebral blood flow by decreasing partial pressure of CO2, so how much CO2 is in the blood, and enhancing vasoconstrictor activity. So it was the decreased blood flow caused by the low CO2 and a combination of vasoconstrictor activity.
Whoa.
Yeah, like we said, CO2 is helpful.
Absolutely.
But of course, it's not in too much. It's not good, but it has its function.
Yes, and go back and listen to the breathing one to hear what we're talking about.
This is the 4th time we said this.
It's so damn important. And then we're gonna be on our next one, telling people to listen to the water one.
Yes.
Sleep one.
That's why we're doing the foundation ones right now, man.
Exactly. We could just make them a pandemic special and put them all in one. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're like, no.
So. No. Actual dehydration, that's having a stroke. It increases your risk of having a stroke, is what I'm trying to say. So that is related to the vasopressin, the vasoconstrictor activity. So that's going to constrict the vessels in your brain. And if you ever seen like visualizations of what a stroke is, it's like that. Like you have low blood flow, and then you probably have a clot in there too. Which, I mean, if you have a clot going through an open vein, it's not going to cause a stroke and an occlusion of blood flow. But if it's constricted, like it's more likely to get completely blocked by something.
Right.
So dehydration is going to make that more likely.
That makes sense. Let me see if I can find this picture on my phone. So what you just said describes, like, okay, a lot of people are like, we were talking about foam rolling earlier, and like, here's a picture of a muscle fiber, like trigger point close up. So you can see where it's like thin in the middle, thin on the outsides, and fat on the red spots.
Yep.
But then if you look at the tissue right above it or below it, it's just a parallel, beautiful line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that sounds like what you're talking. Eventually that knotted area will get so knotted up that there's going to be literally zero or almost 0% blood flow going through there until it's rendered useless.
And that's why you have the decreased cognitive function. You have low blood flow.
Right.
And here's what this study was talking about. So it's vasopressin. So that's the thing that causes the constriction. So vasopressin induced oxidative stress. So it sounds like another horrible positive feedback cycle that you want to avoid. And so if you have oxidative stress in your brain causing DNA damage in your brain, you don't want that. You just don't, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I put this graph here. It was a study about mice, but it brings the point home still. They dehydrated the mice. So after 24 hours and after 48 hours, you could see the level of reactive oxygen species is at like the number 2. The unit is 2. And then after a day, it gets up to like 4. And then 2 days, it gets almost up to 5. So the reactive oxygen species, the oxidative stress doubles within a day.
You know what's crazy about that, though, and I could be wrong, is it still shows how strong the body is at adapting. So here we have this rat that is used to being hydrated. And then out of nowhere, it is going to be dehydrated. And it's like, whoa, what's going on? So its body's freaking the fuck out. So it went from 2 to 4, right?
Yeah.
And then, so it doubled. And then a whole nother day happens and it only went from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
So it already started building a tolerance to being dehydrated. Like, okay, this is my life. I better understand how to use what little amount I do have now.
Yeah. I guess it reached a homeostasis somehow pretty quickly.
That's crazy. That's my assumption anyways. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's how I interpret it.
I noticed that too. It's like, why did it only go up at one point?
Why isn't it exponential?
I don't know.
It started leveling off.
But your body is resilient.
Yes, we fucking are, man.
There was this the Joe Rogan podcast. He had some dude on that went he dragged a cart with all of his stuff through fucking Death Valley. Did you listen to this one?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so he crossed through Death Valley over some absurd amount of days. So he carried all of his food and his water with him in a fucking wooden cart with 2 wheels. So he was dragging that through the desert. And like sometimes he would get through he would find people living out there for some reason. I don't know, but
wait, like people camping or like nomads?
Nomads, now that I'm remembering, maybe it wasn't Death Valley, but it was some absurd desert where there's no water, and he did it for like too long. But his goal was to just figure out how far he could push himself. And he didn't die, obviously, because he's on a podcast. But then like he mentioned his piss.
He grew a 4th finger.
No, he looks pretty healthy, but his piss was like black, he said. So that he was probably starving because he didn't have enough food. So he was breaking down his muscle. So that probably contributed to the black color, but also he was just fucking dehydrated.
Do you know how much water he packed by any chance?
the cart, if you look at it, it's like 2 feet by 3 feet, maybe. Like it doesn't have a lot of stuff.
Was it like longer than a week he was out there, or like how?
Oh man, I gotta look this guy up again.
Do you have any estimate at all?
I want to say 40 days.
Holy shit! I'll do some research if you want to keep on.
Yeah. Look up. He's like some Irish guy. So if you see a dude with an Irish name, that's probably him. Oh, his last name was Dyke, actually. Dyke. Look that up. I think he's the dude who did it. Anyway, so perfect segue into the kidneys and the cardiovascular. So if you're dehydrated like that guy, it's gonna fuck up your kidneys and it's gonna screw up your heart. So you get increased reactive oxygen species, which leads to more inflammation, which we mentioned, and that also regulates the buildup of fibrotic tissue, so scar tissue. So if you're dehydrated more often, you're going to get a more buildup of scar tissue in those organs, and eventually they just can't work. So they're just going to die. Yeah. So one of the crazy things I was learning about COVID, Christian, is like the virus will destroy the cells because it replicates so fast, and the body will just kind of repair those cells with scar tissue. So people who get really hit by COVID and make it out alive, they're going to have more scar tissue in the organs that it infected, which is pretty crazy.
That makes sense because all of the reports, or not all, but a lot of the reports are people having scar tissues on their lungs and
in their heart. One of the doctors mentioned it looked like they had a heart attack, because I guess that's one of the things that happens. You build up scar tissue with a heart attack, but no, it was just they had COVID.
Wow, dude.
It's pretty gnarly. And so the thing that I'm interested in, I thought was the most interesting, I had no idea that water intake affected your glucose regulation.
Yeah.
But there isn't a whole lot of science on it yet. They don't know why, but they do notice a higher diagnosis of high blood sugar with dehydration. So they're kind of hypothesizing that it affects the hypothalamic pituitary axis.
The medulla oblongata. Mama? The medulla oblongata.
Which synthesizes vasopressin, so the constricting protein, and cortisol secretion. And also the renin-angiotensin thing.
I totally believe that, 100%. It's hard for me to believe that water doesn't play a large role in most processes that go on in our body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there might be some that water is not involved, but I have a strong feeling that probably at least 3/4, if not more, water is involved.
Yeah, something I'm just making shit up right now, but if it is affecting the hypothalamic pituitary axis in your brain, and that's the reason why you have high blood sugar, it might be because dehydration is decreasing your blood flow to the brain. But I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, that could be.
And one more thing is the gastrointestinal tract. So you might drink 2 or 3 liters a day, Christian, or anybody. That's normally what you do, right? But your digestive secretions, all through, like your stomach, your intestines, everywhere, that's about 8 liters a day that you secrete, and then you reabsorb, unless you're having diarrhea or something.
Right.
So you can imagine if you're dehydrated, just like your mouth getting dry, like your whole GI tract isn't going to work as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll get constipation too. It's like, okay, that's,
I think it would be healthier to be constipated than have diarrhea, though, right? Because diarrhea is it's dehydrated shit. The shit is holding on to 0 water.
Yeah.
Where constipation it's holding on to too much water.
I guess if you want to have that argument, I would, you would die from diarrhea faster than you would constipation, probably.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. There's so much information in our poop, dude, in our stool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so that's everything, all of the body functions that it affects. So now I just want to talk about the alkaline water stuff, and then
Yeah,
we can talk more about your myths if you have any more.
yeah, I have a few of them here.
Okay. So the alkaline water, that's really popular. Like you'll see that in stores still, like the high pH water or something like that. But like we've mentioned in this podcast and many other ones, so like almost every other one, like your body's really good at homeostasis.
Mhm.
And so even if you imagine the water, the alkaline water that you drank, it made it into your bloodstream somehow, it would just get canceled out by the bicarb, the bicarbonate. Like so there it would have barely any effect.
Sure.
But
Sure.
but in reality, you drink it and it goes into your stomach, which has a lot of acid. So that's just going to cancel out the alkalineness of the water. So
Right.
if anything, it's going to treat acid reflux because of that, like
Totally.
taking an antacid. But then
Totally.
it's neutralized in the stomach, and then it doesn't have any effect after that.
Right, right, right. And that makes sense because the few times that I've ever experienced acid reflux, or I honestly don't know if it was that, but I felt like it was that. And I would just get a little bit of baking soda, put it on my hand, and like lick it, drink some water, and then gone.
Yeah, that's basically what an antacid is, right?
Yeah, just neutralize it. An alkaline with an acid, and
Yeah,
it just
so
balance.
alkaline water would theoretically do that.
Right, right.
But if you're drinking it to like cure cancer or whatever else that you hear about it, it's not
Yeah,
gonna work.
you just got
You're just
sold.
spending $6 on a bottle of water.
Yeah, exactly. Fiji water and this pH balance, like, dude,
Yeah.
crazy, man, crazy.
They'll spend their money though. Hey.
I'm curious to see if this is the guy you were talking about. Switch it over so I can share the screen.
Okay.
Is this the guy?
Wait, where's his name at? Is it
It's
the Dyke?
Matoots. He has this little two-wheel trolley thing, and is the Gobi Desert.
Oh. Maybe I'm confusing him with, or maybe this is just another guy who did it.
Probably
Yeah.
that's what it sounds like, because this guy had over 100 liters of water.
Yeah, because
He did
that
it
I mean that looks, what I'm remembering is he had a wooden cart, but it was a bad photo, so I don't know.
This is 1,850 kilometers. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well,
Yeah, maybe it was the Gobi Desert because he did talk about people living there, and like who lives in the Death Valley?
nobody.
Not a fucking American.
Yeah, dude. Right? Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. All right, so we'll go over some of these myths. We already went over that one. Okay, so here's a funny one, and I mean it makes sense to me, but it's just funny how companies do this. So true or false? Coconut water hydrates better than water. Obviously false. Water hydrates better than anything.
Yeah, why do they say that?
So yeah, so there's actually Vita Coco, actually the brand that I'm drinking right now.
Uh-huh.
They settled a class action lawsuit because they would put on it, it's super hydrating. Companies will do things like that. So yeah, it's as hydrating as water, but water is going to be the number one.
But doesn't it have more electrolytes in it or something? Or maybe they just put those in?
It does. It has plenty of potassium in it. It has magnesium in it.
Yeah, I feel like that's why they say that.
I believe that as well. But when push comes to shove, water, you're getting hydration from the water.
Yeah, it's
those
not,
other things are just holding on.
like if you drink 800 milliliters of water versus 800 milliliters of coconut water, you're going to get 800 milliliters of water in your body, right? Basically.
Correct. Exactly. And that's what we're looking at, right? So true or false? Drinking extra water will keep your skin moist. False. False. Although dry skin is a symptom of dehydration, Once you are well hydrated, drinking more water will not make your skin dewier.
Right.
So
Homeostasis, man.
exactly.
You reach a point where it's like happy, and then you.
Yeah. Eating good food, like good fats from fish, nuts, healthy oils, that's more likely to help with that.
Yeah.
And that's because these fats, they're essential for healthy skin cell walls.
Yeah, your skin secretes the oils and stuff, and that's why you put coconut oil on your skin if it's
Right.
dry or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I recently learned, I didn't know that tea tree oil actually dries you out, but whatever. True or false, the foods that you eat can help you stay hydrated. True, it definitely can. I mean, just think of a watermelon.
Yeah.
Like,
No shit.
but, so moisture in solid foods typically accounts for about 20% of our water intake. So yeah, like obviously if you're eating melons, tomatoes, things like that, you're obviously going to get more water than if you're eating a fiber one bar, right?
Mhm.
But overall, you can probably estimate that your foods are about 20% of your water intake if you have a well-balanced diet.
Dude, I have a cool nutrition fact
Yes,
about that. So you have there's foods that have more water in them, obviously, but then if just by digestion of breaking down the energy for fuel and stuff, like in a normal 2,000 calorie diet, the act of breaking down the energy to get energy, I mean the food to get energy, you'll get water as a byproduct. So typically 2,000 calories will get you like 700 milliliters of water out of it.
Interesting.
So it's not like an insignificant amount. It's like that's almost a liter.
Exactly. That's exactly. So I'm gonna do the math here. You said 700 milliliters.
Yes, it's somewhere around there, I think.
So 70% times that 33.8. So that's 23.66 ounces. So 20. We'll round that up to 24 ounces.
It's like 3 cups.
So if you're drinking a gallon of water per day, that comes out to 18.75%. So roughly around that 20% that you were just talking about. There we go. That's cool. So I threw the number, the 20%, you explained it. That's cool. I like it.
Dude, it's the 80-20 rule, man. It permeates everything. Have you heard about that?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Man. That's yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it does permeate everything. You can use it with fucking everything. True or false? Drinking water may help you lose weight. True. Although it's no magic bullet, there is evidence that getting enough water can help with weight loss efforts in several ways. It definitely does affect your metabolism. Also, just simply, if you're drinking more water, you're probably not drinking other caloric beverages. And there are definitely other reasons why it helps, but I'm just here breaking the myth. I think you went into enough science today.
And there's another one, like people will split hairs about, should I drink more cold water or hot water?
Yeah, totally.
Like, don't worry about that.
that is one of the things I was going to touch on too. And,
okay.
And like,
what do they say?
So yes, when you drink cold beverages, it does take your body energy to break it, like to change the temperature back to what's going to be utilized. But the amount of energy that you're using to do that is like an extra 2 calories like per day. So fucking shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
you spent more calories worrying about it.
Exactly, dude. It's like those people who are like, oh my God, I'm going to get a colonic and fucking shove water up my butthole and clean out my intestines and lose weight that way, as opposed to like eating healthier, drinking water, and let that clean out your intestines.
It's a quick fix, man.
Everyone's about it, man. Everyone's about it. All right. Another one. True or false? A sports drink is necessary if you are running, playing soccer, or in the heat. False. So I mean, I agree. It's not necessary, but But, oh, cool. I'm happy that it says this. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you're an athlete working out intensely for more than an hour at a time, raise your hand. If your hand is not up, you don't need a sports drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy it touches on that. If you are working out for more than an hour, yeah, use a sports drink or
Yeah,
some kind of electrolyte drink.
Yeah, what I mentioned in the beginning of this, it was the runners as an example, but it was really like marathon runners that had the issue of hyponatremia because they would be drinking water the whole time, but no electrolyte replacement.
Right.
And yeah, who runs marathons every day? Like not very many people.
Right, exactly. And that's why those marathon runners are cyclists or whatever. They're constantly like eating goo packs.
Yeah, those things.
Gelatin to get, like, they don't care for the calories. Yeah, they do, but it's more so for the electrolytes and such.
Mm-hmm.
To keep their muscles functioning.
Yeah, so they don't get the blue pixelation shit.
Yeah, well, that, and also like if you don't have the proper electrolytes to your muscles, then they're gonna just shut down. Stop. They're gonna cramp and
they can't work. Yeah.
Yeah, like oftentimes when people cramp, you say, "How's your potassium? How's your magnesium? How's your water intake?"
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three things I always ask people first, because they're usually like, "Oh, should I stretch it?" And I'm like, yeah, "Well, maybe like in the meantime while it's happening." But that's not going to prevent the cramps in the long run. You like, let's
eat some more fruits and vegetables,
get to the issue here. True or false? I've got two more of them here.
Okay.
True or false? You need to drink before you get thirsty. False. In most healthy adults, thirst is a reliable indicator.
Yeah.
So it goes back to your relationship with your body. It says here in most healthy adults. Well, I have to say most adults honestly are not that healthy.
And especially the elderly.
Exactly. So I have to disagree with this one in the fact that you probably should drink water before you get thirsty and not falsify it with hunger or something. But if you are someone who has a good relationship with your body, with your hunger signals, with your thirst signals, then yeah, of course you don't need a drink before you know you're thirsty. You fucking know you're thirsty.
Yep.
But it's funny how you actually said that too. As I'm reading this one further, it does touch on elderly, that it says unless you're doing prolonged exercise in the heat or your thirst mechanism is compromised.
Yeah. You lose the ability as you age, basically.
Exactly. And okay, this one, I hate this one. Okay, so true or false? You should aim to drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day, so half a gallon, right? It says false. That widely quoted number has no scientific basis whatsoever. You know how I see this one is the 10,000 steps a day. The 10,000 steps a day has no scientific basis on fucking anything, but do you know what it does?
It's a nice even number.
It gets people looking at their watch and being like, I got my steps,
Yeah.
So it's getting people moving.
Uh-huh.
It's getting people going. And so by you saying 8-ounce cups a day, it's not 16 8-ounce cups a day, which is what a gallon would be. So it's more attainable, But okay, going into more detail onto what this is saying specifically, it says the amount of water you need for optimal hydration depends on many variables, including the climate you live in and how active you are. Yeah, obviously, I'm pretty sure this 8 times 8 is just coming for the average person who sits on their ass all fucking day, right?
Yeah, it doesn't work out,
Exactly. The dietary reference intakes from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine's Health and Medicine Division pinpoint 13 cups of total beverages for men and 9 cups for women as the average adequate intake for proper hydration. So that also touches based on what I was saying before. You can drink tea, you can drink milk, you can drink juice, you can even drink diet sodas. That will count towards hydration. No, diet soda is not healthy for you, but it does hydrate you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're strictly talking about hydration, you can use those things. So 8 cups, or I guess going
You
back
said
to that 13 cups.
yeah, 13. So that ends up being around 3,000 milliliters. And so if you do
How's that in gallons? So 13 cups.
I have no idea, but if you did that calculation we talked about earlier
Yeah.
for
Okay.
for a 50-year-old, expending however much calories, you're probably going to end up getting about 3,000 or a little bit more. So it's pretty close.
Right. I see what you're saying. 3,000 milliliters of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. And okay, that's funny that you say that too, because as I'm reading further on this, it says the 13 cups and 9 cups for women. The emphasis is on total beverages. This number is assuming that you're getting about 20% of your fluid from food.
Mm.
So I just did the math as well. About 20% would make up that to the gallon mark. So that's funny. It's just perfect. It's not funny. It's perfect. It's like, be a healthy individual, get your 13 cups, eat your healthy food, and you're getting a gallon of water a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fucking water. Go feed the water to the dogs. Hey, dog, come here. Dog, come here. Dog, you want your water, dog? You want your water, dog? Watch, he's gonna come up here. Look, come on up here. Come on up here. You want to feed the water to the dog? To feed the water to the dog. He's like, that's not anything. What's happening here?
Yeah, give me some fucking snacks, dude. What are
Yeah,
you doing?
yeah, dude. I'm about to. I'm gonna feed him and give him some treats and rub his bellies.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast, everyone. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I think that covers the foundational of everything.
Yeah,
So
we talked about the sleep. We talked about the water. We talked about the breathing.
Yeah. So after this, we're just going to get into a bunch of pretty much anything randomly, it seems like.
Yeah. Next week we have a guest.
Yeah, we have a guest. It's mostly going to be about hypothyroid and how she treats it herself and how she's lived with it, I guess. So it should be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna bring my A game, dude. I'm gonna be ready to debate as well. You know?
Okay, so subscribe, donate on Patreon if you like our stuff and you want to live to forever. Forever.
Immortals.
What else? Well, yes, immortals. Immortality. What else?
Fucking Immortality Lab, baby. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And Brian Devonshire, you did a fucking amazing job today.
Thank you.
Talking about the water, keeping me captivated for sure. I learned so much. I hope that others listen in as well and do the same. I'm Christian Martirana. Here's Brian Devonshire once again. Immortality Lab. Thank you, everybody. Adios.
Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
What is that?
I don't know, man. I want to get one of those guns, that like they.
Yeah, the dildos.
Yeah, they just fuck up your myofascialness,
You have to include that in the thing.
The drill though.
He's gonna love that part, man.